iSustain and Homes by Nature, and he'll be sharing his journey of iSustain since its inception to the formation of Homes by Nature and the use of hemp in the building industry. He'll be providing us with a brief history of where the construction industry is now, who is leading the way in industry changes, and what we are doing to make hemp wine products more affordable. Okay, thank you, Cameron.
Thank you, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Cameron, and everyone can call me Cam because that's how I like. I'm pretty laid back. Just a simple builder. I have a very humble beginning. Grew up with a passion for the construction industry. Took on carpentry as a skill. And in recent times, since 2016, I've started to learn more about the chemical makeup of certain building materials, and I've discovered hempcrete. Everyone's probably got some familiarity with hempcrete. For me, it was a journey from understanding what the hemp plant had, and as Ilya was describing, the lime also. What I've seen in the industry in the last 16 to 17 years is it can only be described as disgraceful. We build some very shocking homes nowadays, and they lack in performance, and they cost clients money further and further down the track, which is something I'm very passionate about. When you build a home, I believe that your home should be the cost of that and no ongoing cost from there on, and that's my passion today. The industry now, basically we all know about sprawling suburbs and mass density of building. Everyone's living on top of each other now, there's not much room to move. And we're predominantly building from bricks. For me, I've never been inclined to like bricks for one reason, and that's because it's mined from the earth, something that I'm very passionate about. Over 2.1 million homes began construction in Australia last year. 72% of those had brick construction. Okay. One brick home contains 1.3 tons of carbon. That's 1.3 tons per home. That equates to about 2 million tons in general. Behind me are a series of entities and corporate sectors within the governments that are trying to change these figures. But they're doing it in a certain way where they're trying to educate us, the public, about how we can move forward and using different materials, hempcrete being one of them. The industry leaders here, they're putting themselves forward in a more academic ability, much like Miracle are now. But there are also other activists and people. Now, I'm not saying we are these people, but these people inspire us to change those positive carbon facts to turn them into negative. But how do we do that from a simplistic point of view? I'm just a simple builder. How do we do that? How do we pass it on to our generations later down the track after we've carved up the earth and created all these emissions? What are we leaving them behind? How do we win this battle? What legacy are we going to leave behind? In the building industry, it's such a powerful industry. There's so many people that are employed by it. It affects them. When COVID hit, we were considered, important enough to maintain working because we are so important to the industry and economy. But this economy is tumultuous to the planet itself. A great phrase by John F. Kennedy, okay? It's time for a new generation of leadership to cope with new problems and new opportunities, for there is a new world to be won. That new world's already here. We're all sitting here in this room. What world are we winning? Do we want to win it? I want to win the construction world. The construction world at the moment is not viable to be sustainable in the future, in my opinion. Double bricks has an R value of 0.7. If anyone doesn't know what an R value is, it's a resistance against the elements, okay? Hempcrete has an R value of 3.3. As I mentioned, it's mined from the earth. But hempcrete grows naturally, other than the mining from the lime, which we understand. Yes, there is a balance there, but it's not fully mined. High emission creation. For every hempcrete home, that's 100 square meters, you've got about 20 tons of carbon stored in there from growth to implementation of that. And the last thing that's most important, which was demonstrated earlier, that is fire retardant, much more than double brick. So how do we implement it? What are we trying to win? What are the key factors for the change? It's time and it's money. That's all people care about. How are we going to save in time? How are we going to reduce the costs? Can we make it the same cost as a double brick wall? I'm going to explain something that what happens when you actually want to undertake a hempcrete job. You have to form it up. You have to mix it, move it, lift it into place. I think Paul showed one that was 4 stories high. How do you get it there? Tamping it down, removing the formwork, plastering, rendering. When you handcast, you can achieve about 3 cubic meters a day. 3. And that's a team of 4 people. Now the average home has about 35 to 40 cubic meters of hempcrete in it. Why do we handcast? A, it's the technology we understand. B, we like the look of it. Okay, it looks amazing. It is a bit of a fad. In France and in Europe throughout, they don't handcast. Why? Because it's not what it's designed for. It's designed to carry its properties as a building material. What you see here is a combination of an exposed wall. You've got a combination of hemp lime as well as the render, and then these are the systems in place to do that render system. But why do we want to expose? What is the fad? It's time consuming, it's costly. So we turn to spraying. Spray application. It's messy. It doesn't look as good as a handcast wall. No, it doesn't. But the performance is there. Now what we have in place at the moment is a system of machinery which mixes the ingredients through at the end of a lance, just like this, where we can achieve 10 cubic meters a day. As I mentioned before, 3 cubic meters. You notice we're just using some temporary shuttering here. The temporary shuttering was actually removed from this renovation, so it's been recycled. If you were to do this from scratch, you would have to use formwork, which is then landfill once it depletes over time. You can only reuse it a certain amount of times in handcasting. Our system allows us to essentially put a jute hessian temporary support. It actually stays within the wall because jute actually reacts to the lime in the same way that the hemp does. So we leave it in there. So we staple it on and we bulk fill one side. Then when we have finished that one side, we'll walk around and we'll simply spray the other side. There is no formwork in our system. This wall was achieved in 2 hours. This is in Narrabah. Okay, that's 180 mil thick. The only formwork was the temporary shuttering, as you see, with the roof sheets, which we reclaimed from the roof once renovated. This is in Kawarama. This project is 85 cubic meters of hempcrete in it. We spray applied that amount in 6 days. The mechanical spray application is something that is not new. It's been in Europe for 20 years. But what the ability for these European countries who were not affected by prohibition was to do was to develop these systems and allow them and research and develop the systems. Now, what the amazing thing is that we have a product that is BCA certified within Australia that we can apply in 1/5 of the time. Because that essentially is what's going to save us the time and what's going to save us the money. If we can get locally grown product that can be tested to mix with the same binders, then that's an added bonus. But it's not my focus. Because your cost, and as many people have spoken about today, is in your labour. With this process that we have in place now, we have 9 signed contracts for 2021, which is about 120 cubes of hempcrete to go in this development, which is probably the most sustainable development right under our very noses in the southwest of WA. There's 360 lots here and 40 commercial, and we plan to undertake 1/4 of that. How? Because a 100 square metre home costs exactly the same amount as a double brick one. The performance is there, the energy efficiency, the carbon neutralism. I want to build more of these. I don't like bricks. So as a simple, humble builder standing in front of you all, it's important to know that as much as there's a lot of people who are research and developing systems in place now, we have a system and it's here and it's ready. We have 3 completed projects in Perth alone. And as I mentioned, we have 9 signed contracts and 3 commercial coming in. Hopefully by 2023, Paul won't have the problem of being the only development with the most hempcrete houses in one place. And that's my journey, that's my story, that's where I've come to, and I thank you all for your time.